You're listening to the Disruptive Franchise Podcast with Stacey, the podcast that celebrates innovation in franchising and peeks behind the curtain of failure, success, and the future of the franchise industry.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Disruptive Franchise Podcast with me, your host, Stacey. This week, I'm going to be delving into personal brand for franchisors. Now, I know that some of you listening are not franchisors. If you're thinking about franchising, this is going to help you at a future date. But why personal brand? It's so important as we move forward in 2026 with being comfortable putting ourselves out there. And I think when a lot of franchises started, if you're going already, it was all about the brand. And when somebody buys a franchise, they're buying a business in a box. They're buying into your brand. They're buying everything that you've created. And essentially, franchise gives them about a 3-year head start. They haven't got to come up with the branding and the logo and what the brand stands for and the service, delivery, systems, processes. It's all done. But more than ever before, and this is only going to increase, the traction that you're going to get in your marketing and your sales process is going to come from you as the franchisor, not you hiding behind the logo or the mascot. You as the franchisor, putting yourself across in a positive way, but most importantly, a realistic way. And what I hear a lot is people saying, yeah, but people don't want to see me eat my breakfast. People don't want to see me walk in my dog. And there is some truth in that. You know, if you are getting somebody to invest £100,000 into your brand, no, they probably don't want to see what you're having for breakfast. But they do want to know what it's like day to day in your business. They do want real answers to real questions that they're going to have. And they do also want to get a sense of who they're investing in. This is true if it's a £5,000 brand as well. It's on a very different scale. Now, before we go into it, I want you to imagine that you meet somebody in a supermarket or a bar or wherever you are, and you get chatting to them and you kind of like the vibes that they're giving off, but you've only met them this one time, and they make you an offer. Hey, come into my business, come and be a business partner with me. It's going to cost you X £1,000s. Are you going to say yes or no? Well, the chances are you're going to say no, because you're not warmed up to who they are. You don't know them. If you met that person and you went away and you researched them and maybe you binged them a little bit Netflix style, looked at their social media, got a sense of who they are, had a couple of conversations and got to know them a little bit, and then they make you an offer, you're far more likely to say yes to that offer because you feel like you know them better. You know that they're not just going to run off with your money. And it's the same in franchising. We are hoping that people have seen us enough times so that when we make them the offer of come and buy my franchise, that they say yes. And the truth is that actually, more than ever, we're in a real kind of trust recession. We need to be building in more trust before people are going to consider coming to buy the franchise. So the power of the personal brand for franchisors is going to gain in momentum in 2026. Without showing who you are as a person, actually, you're going to find it really difficult to get people to invest in your brand unless you are McDonald's, the big boys. How do we do that? Then becomes the question. Well, okay, let's go back to breakfast. Do they want to see what you've had for breakfast? No. The best way to do this is to sit down and map out your content pillars. We need to approach this as a branding exercise, not just who are you day to day. What kind of things do you need to show in your messaging? What kind of things do you need to tell people in your social media? What kind of stories, real life stories, do you need to get across and convey in your email connections with them? And it's only really when we approach this properly that we can start to see the true value and get the sales conversion that we want. Showing up on Instagram stories, telling them some ideas and some tips and some things about you while you walk your dog. Yes, great. That's behind the scenes. People really need that and they really like it. Doing a Q&A on YouTube and answering some of the questions that people ask in the sales process. Yes, that's really, really good. That's going to help people to understand the business. But if you're going to invest in something, you need to feel like you know it and understand it. So what else do you need to be doing to show people what it's going to be like to partner with you? Are you quick-tempered? Are you level-headed? Have you got a certain type of mindset? All of these things need to come out. So actually, by sitting down and mapping out some kind of key content pillars, and by pillars I mean topics, For example, franchise, life as a CEO, and let's say you deliver, I don't know, pet services, like what the pet services are. And also have franchise as a pillar. Don't forget to explain what a franchise is in your content, because actually most people, if you're in a lifestyle franchise, are not going to understand what a franchise is. They're still thinking about the McDonald's and the KFC and Dino Rod and things like that. So by having a plan of what kind of things are going to help people to move closer to understanding who you are, trusting who you are, liking who you are, that's what's going to move them through the sales process. My best advice at this point would be to maybe plan out like 11 to 15 key pieces of content that you would want everybody to see before they jump on a sales call with you. So, in that 11 to 15 pieces of content, you want to give a really good sense of what the franchise is about, what a franchise is, who you are as a person, what it's like to work with you. So views from other people as well. What are your values? What are the business values? And in those pieces of content, think about where you're going to put them. Are they going to be professional brand photography based or content captured? Are they going to be like 3 or 4 minute videos that sit perfectly on YouTube? Are they going to be podcast episodes where you go and guest on a podcast and they're like 20, 30 minutes long? Are they going to be like a minute long each, short clips? So think about where they're going to go, what they're going to contain, and then plan how you're going to use them in your franchise recruitment funnel. For example, somebody downloads a brochure, rather than sending them a link to just the sales call, can you go and send them to a video for them to watch, to learn a little bit about you? Can your sales page be a video sales page so that they get an immediate sense of you? While you're waiting for the call to happen, can you send them a link to a blog article that you've written or a press article that you've been in? How can you cleverly use content to move people towards trusting you as the franchisor? And I think if we start to think about content creation in that respect, how it fits into the sales pipeline, it also becomes easier to create content that has intention. So rather than panicking and being like, oh, this is what I've had for lunch today on Instagram, instead you can talk about, well, why do you like that kind of lunch? Are you a vegetarian? Why are you a vegetarian? You can go a little bit deeper because you know that you're building intentional layers of know, like, trust. So hopefully that helps you to kind of figure out, number one, are you using content correctly? Number two, are you building personal brand with the content? And if you don't think this matters because you've got a really well-established brand, I'm really sorry, but you're wrong. It absolutely matters more than anything. Why does it matter? Well, we're in a trust recession. People don't trust what they see in the same way anymore. People can't trust a sales message of come buy my franchise, you'll make your money back. They have to have the proof. They need evidence above and beyond what they've ever needed before. So thinking in that respect, if you are hiding as the franchisor behind your brand, behind your team, I'd really encourage you to just step out, even if it's a bit uncomfortable. Just step out and be present and be visible and be approachable. We build these walls and these barriers and, we want to have our easy work-life balance, but actually you can still have boundaries and be present. You can still have boundaries and be visible. If you're not doing that, you are going to get left behind because anyone can create and use AI to generate content about your business. Anyone can create enough assets that it would be implausible that you fail to get the message out there. But nobody has the essence of you and what you stand for and who you are. So remember that you are your most powerful marketing tool as the franchisor. People need to see your face. They need to hear your voice. They need to know what you stand for, not just within the confines of what the franchise does, but what you do as a person. Because at the end of the day, they're not just investing in a sales transaction. People are investing sometimes their life savings into what your service is, what your franchise is. Sometimes they're investing, a whole change in lifestyle. Sometimes they're walking away from the stability of a job that, okay, maybe they don't like, but it's still the stability of a job. You need to be as all in as you want your franchisees to be in order to create the brand success that you want to have. That's how that your franchise marketing is not going to stall. That's how you're going to beat AI. That's how you're going to grow in the way that you want to grow authentically. And frankly, content is the best way that all of those unicorn franchises out there that have, huge kind of recruitment chains happening, they're doing it with content. because the founders are present, the founders are accessible, and the founders are showing themselves to be real people. It's very easy to emulate. You just need to make that commitment for yourself. So go out there, stick your neck out. You'll be so happy that you did, and plan that content out, like I said. That's it for this week. Good luck with that. If you've got any comments, let me know. What's stopping you from doing this? I'd love to know on our socials what it is that's getting in the way of you being able to do this. Let me know.
Before we finish up today, I'd love to just thank our podcast sponsors, Book When and Make Your Mark Podcast Agency, without whom this episode wouldn't have been possible. You can find more information on both amazing companies in the show notes. If you've enjoyed listening to today's episode, please also make sure that you hit the subscribe button, and I would absolutely love it if you left a review too. See you next time.